I got to go back in. I'm due some money. Do you want to just wait? Yes, fine.
Dr. Lamb.
Got me.
Okay, I'm going to go to manage participants and then find your name, right?
Right.
Okay. Just click on it.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Lamb, do I go over to more?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And then make the host, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got you. Okay, got it.
I am now the host.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Share screen. All right. All right. I see we've still got a couple of minutes to go here before I get started.
Dr. Lamb, can you hear me?
Yes.
Before we get started, before we end tonight, make sure that we talk about prompt one of the app tool. They've started sending things in, but they need to make sure that they're following the 3 things that have to be, I know it's a draft, but they need to start looking at that already. Make sure that when they submit that they're looking at all 3 components that they need to do for that. Several have not done the PLC meetings yet, but I know that's coming, but that's a part of what has to be done when they submit it for peer review. A lot of them have submitted, and they're doing a great job already.
Yes, they are. Okay. Dr. Stedman, can you see my screen that says, make sure you have each of these headings?
Yes, I see
All
that.
right, I'll
Yes.
go ahead and get started then. It's 7 o'clock. The bell
Okay.
rang. All right. To reiterate what Dr. Stedman just said, and if you weren't with us, I'll go back and reiterate that. Some of you are starting your rough draft of the app cell, the first one, and I got one of those this afternoon, and this is what I responded back to that student. Make sure you have each of these headings and an accompanying text for each one. Below is an example of what I should see for task 1. The student sent me just a narrative. It didn't have it divided into sections. It says, this is my PLC research. This is my PLC selection process and the qualifications of those people. And it didn't have a summary, a section that just summarized the first PLC meeting. Now, all that stuff was in there, but it was just a narrative that started with a paragraph and ended with a period about 4 pages later. And I had to go through and hunt and find, and it wasn't, there was different parts of it in different places. And that's how I wanted to start out with you tonight. I met with one of our classmates earlier today. Pray for Emily and his husband, Troy. He's caught in traffic jam, and I think in maybe Charleston or somewhere, and he can't get home, and they've got 3 small kids, so remember them in your prayers. But I visited with Emily earlier today, and that was the thing that I went over with her, and thankfully, her site supervisor was one of my former students. And he reiterated to her, just follow the directions. You know, there is nothing secretive. There is no hidden agenda here. As I always say to students at Gardner Webb, when we ask you who's buried in Grant's tomb, the answer is Grant. It is not a trick question. We should see, when you go back and look, let me share here. When you go back and look at the app cell task 1, it gives you the prompt. It tells you what you're going to be doing in task 1, but it gives you the prompt that says, these are the things we want to see. We should see headings in that box right there. We should see prompt 1, and then we should see those 3 headings, and we should see your text follow that narrative. Part of doing these is learning how to organize. As I was sharing with Emily today, please understand that the evidence artifact process serves 2 main purposes and is state required. The first is that you learn the school improvement process. The 6 evidence artifacts of your task stream portfolio represent a real live school improvement planning process. The app cell is your closing the gap program, where you look at your test scores, you find your gaps, you put a team together, you do research, you find out what might address those gaps at your school. That's your closing the gap, or your local instructional initiative. The AppTel is a staff development program. The OMA is your master schedule, duty roster, and supervision schedule that keeps you legal. The SCIP is your school and community parent involvement component, where you work to involve parents in your school. The CAP is cultural advocacy, which means working on trying to improve your TWC scores, teacher working condition scores, as well as discipline. And the SIOP, the 6th one, has no new work in it. It's just putting them all together. And so that's the first purpose of the 6 evidence artifacts. The second purpose is to teach you the principal evaluation system. In North Carolina, and it's closely mirrored this in South Carolina as well as Virginia, this is the principal evaluation system. When your superintendent comes out and evaluates you as a principal or as an assistant principal, you're evaluated by your principal. You have to produce evidence artifacts. You have to produce a narrative of what you did and have artifacts that prove something that you produced by doing it, that prove that you did it. And it has to be organized like this. And so that's why we're teaching you how to write a narrative and how to have the proper sections in that narrative. You will see this again. This is how you will be evaluated. If you don't believe me, Google North Carolina Principal Evaluation System Manual, And oh gosh, that's the same thing I see in Gardner Webb on the rubrics and the grading rubrics and here it lists the artifacts that I should generate. It tells me that evidence is a written narrative. Yes, we didn't just come up with this stuff out of thin air. We're doing two things here. We're teaching you how to build a school improvement plan, and we're teaching you how to document yourself for your evaluation, the things that you did as a principal. And so we expect in task 1, we expect to see this prompt, and we expect to see a section that's labeled PLC research. We expect to see a section labeled PLC selection. Now, what you put in those is what you learned from Dr. Stedman's class and from reading Richard DeFore and the materials that he had you read to prepare you so that you'll know what a PLC is. It's not just getting a few people together. There's norms, there's values, there's roles, there's responsibility. It's guided by the big idea, which is student achievement. That's why we do PLCs. They're all about student achievement. And so these are the things that we should see in task 1. As we move down to task 2, it tells us what we should do. We also have exactly what you're to do right here, and we expect to see sections that address these 2 prompts. In 3 is the same way. Now, this probably doesn't mean anything to you, but years ago when we first started this revision program in 2010, we had a handbook that had all these, they weren't called tasks, we called them parts. But we didn't have any things like this in color that said do this and don't do that. So for good or for bad, I piloted this program, and so I started with a group, and we wrote Dale's Notes. That's what they were called. The students named that. I'd have called them something else, but we called them Dale's Notes. And basically, we had a handbook, and then we had Dale's Notes that were in yellow that said, do this, don't do that, just like these prompts do here. And so we finally figured out, because Dale's Notes became so popular, I allowed Gardner Webb to take my notes, because they were copyrighted to me, and I gave them away for free. But I allowed Gardner Webb to take those, and I helped, and we actually integrated the notes into the handbook. So what you see now used to be in a bright yellow, but that's what you're supposed to do. So when you read this stuff and you say, well, what does this mean? Well, I can tell you what it means. Do what's in those colored boxes right there. That's what it means. That's the notes that says do this. Again, the struggle should be to get all the work done, not trying to figure out what the work is. There's no dignity in struggle just for the sake of struggle. We want you to know what to do, and for that reason, we have written this scale handbook for you that tells you what you're supposed to do every step of the way in this particular evidence artifact. But we expect to see sections that address that. Now, within that, you can pretty much, you have latitude to do whatever you'd like to do, as long as you address the prompts and the sections are there. And there's the next set of prompts. And then as we go on, here is, you know, when I see prompt 4, when I see task 4, the action plan, I expect to see a paragraph that addresses the importance of the plan, a paragraph that addresses alignment with you. This is a section heading. That's why we got boxes next to them here. I should see a section that addresses each one of those. I mean, you can go through, and I've done this. I used to give these out to my interns. I made templates that had all of the notes, do this and don't do that, and on a blank Word document, all you had to do was fill it in. If I were you, that's what I would do. I would take these things and I would take and copy and paste on a blank Word document all the tasks and all the prompts, so that my headings would all be there. Then I would just start filling in my information. That's the way I would do it. But I'm an organization. I'm a consequential. Many of you are a lot more creative than that. But that is by far the best way, I think, to do it. Is you just, you know, that way you know what to do. But I used to make them. Oh yeah, if everybody could mute their phone, that would be helpful. No, the heading should stay in when you write your paper. the headings stay in. Let me see if I can. This may take me a minute here. I'm going to see if I can find one of those old ones. Now, it won't be relevant to what you're doing now, but let me see if I can find one of those. I may lose me for a minute. Let me go back.
Number 9 on the carry for AC Flora.
Here we go.
Officials timeout for a measurement.
I used to make these and give them out to students. I'm going to be back with you in just 1 second here. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
AC Flora is short. Turnover on down.
If we could get you, if you can hear me, please mute your phones. I'm listening to a ball game. I like the ball game, but let's.
I just sent a message to all of them as well, Dr. Lamb, hoping that they'll read it.
Okay. Can you see what I've got on the screen now? Analysis and action plan for student learning and development.
Yep.
Can everybody see that?
Yes, yes, it's there.
This is a template I created for my interns. They were supposed to be smart enough to know not to leave your name here, to put their name there. And I just put cut and pasted all the directions. The abstract went there. Here's the directions. You can see all the headings. I actually wrote them a few little notes in red of things that I should see. But you can see I just did the headings. Now, they used to have to do a reflection. You don't have to do that anymore. But again, action plan, the importance of the plan. And then here was the little graphic organizer I developed for them to do their action plan, things that I thought was important. And this graphic organizer became adopted by the university. But this I just made this. It took me 15 minutes, and I made a set of these for all 6 of them. My interns, and they became as popular as the notes. You know exactly what's got to go in there, and then students would just take this template and just write their paper directly into it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Make it as easy as you can. And I used to make these and distribute them. You can do the same thing. Just make your own template with all the prompts on it and every one of the bullets of what's supposed to be in it, and fill it out. Now, some people like to be more creative than that, and so that's why I don't give them out anymore. If you want one, make one. But if somebody makes one, you can share it with others. I mean, if that's the way your group likes to do it, some people think that's too cookie cutter. That's what
All right, let's do some. Let's go. Go, go. Hail Mary.
Dr. Stedman, I unmuted you.
Okay.
I think I've muted everybody else.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just did it manually. All right. Is there a minimum amount of pages? Well, a rule of thumb.
It's Dr. Erica Rice. That's where it's coming from.
Got it. All right.
Throw that ball, man.
All right.
That wasn't all of them.
I can't see any more that need to be muted.
For some reason, I can't move my frames up and down.
Let me see if I can see more of them. I can't find any more to mute. I don't know where they are. All right.
Dr. Lamb.
Yes.
I saw some of them. Just tell them I know that they're working on the draft for task 1 still. I had told them to try to get it in by today, but if they're still working on it, as long as I get it before the end of the week, let them.
That'd be fine.
Yeah,
that'd be fine. That didn't work. I just removed somebody that wasn't them. But anyway, all right. But you see the idea here. Owner. I don't see that one. Well, I can't see the person who it is, but
we'll just have to. We're gonna.
Whoever owner is, mute your microphone. If I can't see owner, I don't see them on my list of participants. If somebody is owner, please mute your microphone. All right, so let's get back to the work here. I can remember these are from the old program, and they don't. The parts don't fit the task. I didn't make any for the new scale handbook of these templates. You can make your own, but I will send you these out just to show you what it looks like. You know, but this is the format that your paper should take. You should have a cover page with your name on it and the directions for the app cell. Then you should have each of the tasks list here with each of the prompts in them, and everything that is highlighted in that box we should see as a heading in your paper. Yay. All right. So that's the deal here is you know, let me go back to the scale handbook. Everything you see in the scale handbook in the dark, we should see in your paper. And then you should have text or content that goes along with that. But everything should be there. That you see in, you know, you should have app cell with the directions for it right here. You should have this. You should have the task 1 description. You should have this stuff here. I may make you one and send it to you. I'll do that. I may have time tomorrow. I've got a faculty meeting and I have to do something to fill up my time. So I'll try to make you one. Where can we get this, please? I'll have to make it for you. Is this the format for task 1? Yes, this is. How many artifacts are needed? Would more be better? Well, working with Emily today, one of the things that we discussed is You don't have to have an artifact for everything that you do. You need artifacts. You need 3 rounds of artifacts for your competency folio. So you may accomplish several communication competencies by doing the app cell, but you only have to put 1 in your portfolio. So you only need 1 proof. You've got minutes, you've got an agenda, you've got a picture of your group, you've got an email permission for your principal. All those are artifacts that show a communication competency. You can put them all in your folder if you want to, but everything that goes on your internship log, you don't have to have an accompanying artifact for it. You only have to have artifacts for 3 rounds of competencies. So we're more interested in right now in developing your narrative, your evidence narrative. The artifacts will come. If you do the work, they will be there. So please understand that artifacts are a byproduct. You don't do these things just to create them. They are a byproduct of the work that you do. They go in your competency folio as proof that you did them. But, you're going to, in task 5 of the app cell, you're going to write a reflection on each of the competencies that you did for the app cell, and they're listed right here in this document. You're going to write that. Right here they are. They're back here earlier. Let me go back to them. So when you get to task 5, it says you. So now, for my part, you don't have to put that narrative. Right here are the competencies that you will satisfy by doing the app cell, or things that you will have done. For my part, you're going to write a reflection on each of these competencies in task 5 of the app cell, so that when you go to your competency folio and upload proof of competencies, you don't have to put the narrative there. Just put the proof there, just a picture, the screenshot, a scan of the agenda or the minutes. You've already written in your narrative a reflection of that. I don't need to see another reflection there. And also, when you go to task stream at the end of the semester and do a competency analysis where you rate yourself on how well you did on all the competencies, you can or cannot, it's up to you, copy and paste those same reflections for those competencies. Not required there either. Just rate yourself is fine with me, because you wrote them in your paper. Don't reinvent the wheel. You're going to write them one time in your paper. Just have proof of them to put them in your competency folio, and then rate yourself on them in your competency analysis. Don't make this harder than it is. Don't do extra work. But this scale handbook tells you exactly what you're to do for each of your tasks. The length. I always tell folks that a good task is probably about 6 pages long. After 6 pages, you're just being redundant. I just want the meat of what we're doing. So if you turn in task 1, it's 20 pages long, good for you. You could have probably said the same thing in 6, but if that's the way you do it. But everybody's not Vera. Vera is the bell cow. Vera was the greatest student that we ever had. Vera's already a principal. Vera's going to be superintendent shortly. When Vera would turn in a task, everybody else's would be 6 pages long. Vera's would be 60. That's 60. Some of her evidence artifacts were well up into the 200 or 300 pages. But that was just Vera. But, hers weren't, the content probably wasn't any better than somebody's whose was 6 pages. Vera just was over the top. Now, I love Vera like she's my oldest child. I'll get to see her in about a week and a half. She's on our advisory board, but everybody's not Vera. And we don't expect everybody to be Vera. We use that as our reference point. I also saw the bell cow. Emily's not with us tonight, but she would appreciate this. I met the bell cow on the other end of the curve today again. One of my former students. He's if Vera is the alpha, he's the omega. His were 2 pages long, but he had good stuff in them. The 2 pages that he had, and he got through because although he only had 2 pages, his stuff was good. About 6 pages per task is about what we expect. I've also got an example of the app cell that, you know, I hesitate, but I am going to give you one. It's 32 pages with references. It's basically 6 pages per task. It averages that. It's one of my students who started in the spring, and it's about perfect. 6 pages. It's easily an exemplar at 30 pages for the entire evidence artifact of the app cell is 30 pages. It's good. And so I'm going to send that to Dr. Stedman, and he can distribute it to you. Or I guess I have your class list. I'll send it to you. I'm going to send you that, and I will send you a template for the app cell to show you how to make one. I'll send you that. I'll send you those things tomorrow. I'll work on them later tonight. I've got another Zoom at 8 tonight, and then sometime later tonight I'll work on that and get that to you by tomorrow. An example of what it should look like. Now, I'm only going to do it this first time. I hope you can see me on the screen here. One time, I'm going to send you an exemplar of what one should look like, and I'm going to make you a template one time, and then I expect from here on out that you'll be able to do for yourself. You know, we're not testing me. I probably need to be tested, but maybe for EC. But this is not about me. But I do want you to get started off well, and I want you to get started off. So I want you to get started off well. I'm answering questions on email as well as on chat here tonight. Get back to chat. Okay, is this for the competencies too? On the competencies, when you write a competency, there's going to be an exemplar in there that Rhonda wrote for and they're a paragraph long. Again, let me open that document up and we'll look at it. Let me catch another chat here. Let me open that document. All right, can you see evidence 1?
No, it says required MALS 601 competencies.
All right. What about, What about now?
Evidence 1, yes.
All right, so this is Rhonda's. You can see this is task 1, and here it is: introduction, PLC research. See the headings here: PLC selection, PLC meeting, and then here's task 2. Now hers says part, but they're just tasks. Part A is task 1, part B is task 2. You will see that. She has the directions here, what she's supposed to do. She has her titles, data collection process, right on through. Here's her data. Find area of need, best practices, literature review. She has all of the titles that she's supposed to have here. Online resources. Everything's here. Here's her best practices. Here's her action plan, PLC meeting, student learning outcomes, indicators, clarification of roles, defining success. Here's her action plan, her presentation, reflection on the competencies. You can see they're about a paragraph long. Now hers doesn't have all the headings in it because she doesn't have to work that way. All the stuff is inside each one. She didn't put all the headings in there. She just went ahead and did them. But I'll send you a template that has all the headings. Some of you will need it, some of you won't, but I'll send you one. But this one is a 4, and it's only 30 pages long. So these weren't designed to be 200 or 300 pages long. They were designed to be around 30 pages long. A couple of them, you know, the cap will be shorter. It'll be 20. The OMA will be longer. It'll be 40. The rest will be about 30. So it averages out to that. All right, are tables required? Yeah, you're going to need to do tables, and you label them all as figures, and you need to do the APA guide on them. Rhonda's are here. Rhonda's are here. Let's look at her tables. You can label them as table 1 or figure. I prefer you label all tables, charts, and graphs as figures. That's actual APA style. Let's see what she did here. She labeled hers as table 1. It actually should be figure 1. This was an earlier draft. Here's table 2, table 3. That should actually be figure 1, figure 2, and figure 3 if we went strictly by APA. And then her bibliography is in APA style. When we get down here at the bottom, her references. Now you can do a PERT chart like she did of her action plan, or you can do a graphic organizer. And I will put both in the template that I send you. I'll show you an example of both. Okay. And then she used APA style here on her references.
Dr. Lamb. Can you hear me, Dr. Lamb?
I can.
One student sent me a text message and said, where does the school profile belong in task 1? Could you address that, please?
That's the beginning.
Right. Right.
We always like to know what the context is of your school up front when we start reading these. And so that's what she's got. See, it's right here. It's at the very beginning. That's where the profile goes, is the very beginning. So I said this one follows the flow. It doesn't. She didn't copy all the stuff out of the colored boxes in the scale handbook, but I will when I give you the template. I'll do that. But you know, the school profile comes first. And then she did an introduction, and then she started with PLC research. That's prompt 1 of task 1, and here's prompt 2, which would be PLC selection. And she went right down the line. I mean, there is a pretty standard format of how these things should look. We always just ask you exactly for what we want. Again, we're not trying to make you figure out. I'm answering emails again. We're not trying to make you figure out what to do. We, just follow the scale handbook, and I'll make you, as I said, I'll make you a template on the first one, that should be good enough. I've got to be moving along here. Let me go to task stream quickly and look at.
Dr. Lamb, remind them if they'll go to the resource, the APA style guide.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that information in there, and you've got an example of evidence 1, part A with the school profile, even some narrative in there. So if they'll refer back to the APA style guide, and they've got that information, it's in their resources. It has some good examples in there for them.
It does.
The tables and everything.
Yeah, and Dr. Stedman has that for you in your Blackboard shell. He has an APA style guide. He has an example, and I will give you another example, and I will give you a template for this first one. Tables are driving me crazy. Well, yeah, they drive me crazy too. I know exactly what you mean, and it's not easy to follow. But that's part of the learning curve is to get up to speed on APA, because all professional papers have to be written that way. All right, let's look at what competencies actually look like. We don't how do we access TaskStream? You don't yet. That was one of the questions I just answered on the email. You're supposed to get it later this week. Hopefully we'll get it before too much longer. We were hoping to have it at the beginning of the semester, but it's pass-through money, so TaskStream, we're waiting for a response from TaskStream, but you should have it in the next day or two. Let me look in this group. See who I've got in this group. I know Jesse's quick. All right, this is my boy Larry Jesse. All right, this is what his competency folio, where he puts his evidence or his proofs of competency in there. He just does screenshots, and there's a communication competency. For change management, he just uploaded a staff development schedule that he did from the AppTel. He uploaded the staff development schedule where they're teaching their teachers a new learning program that they're doing. So that's change management. He just took a picture of it, took a picture of the schedule, an actual picture of it. You know, he's got to do 3 rounds, and so this was round 1. Let's see, he took a picture of conflict management where he handled a disciplinary referral. He just took a picture, redacted the names, took a picture of the disciplinary referral. I mean, this doesn't take you but just a second to do these. Now, you don't do one of these for every one of the things that goes on your internship list. You choose the best ones and put them here in your folder under the competencies that match them. And we've got that correlated for you. So if you look at that list of open-ended competencies, which is the same as the suggested list of activities for interns, we tell you if you do this, it will match this competency if you choose to use it. Just come up with something representative, an artifact from having done that. We've also got it for you. I gave you the ones where for each of the tasks that you do in each of the 6 evidence artifacts, we can tell you what competency that will satisfy. You just got to have something that you generated from doing that you can upload here quick and easy. This, you know, here's one, a matrix design focused on special education, where they're doing, something for customer focus on EC students. He just took a picture of it, wrote 1 sentence. Now he wrote a reflection of customer focus in the actual task, the last task of each of these evidence artifacts. You write a reflection of the competencies that you did. So I don't expect you to rewrite that here. You just tell me what this is from, where it came from, and I'll figure the rest of it out. So your competency folio will be quick and easy. The main point of me mentioning it again tonight is that for some reason students thought that for everything that they wrote on their log, they had to have a proof of it so they could put it in their folder. No, you only have to do the 3 rounds of competencies 3 times. That would be 63. So you have to have something that represents these competencies, but you do not have to have a thing, an artifact, an icon from everything that you do. Just pick the best ones. Okay. All right. No more questions there. So my task for you is to send you Rhonda's, which is a really simple one, and to make you a template for the first one so you can see what I'm talking about in terms of what should be in that paper. I'll do that and get it to you. I'll get that to you tomorrow. I have all the email addresses. I'll just send it straight out, and I'll copy Dr. Stedman. All right. What's next? Dr. Stedman, are you going to continue on with this group, or are you done when I'm done?
No, we're through. I think they've got enough. They just need to continue working on the draft, those that have not, and And I think they've gotten some clearer direction now, and and we'll take it from there.
All right. Tell us when. Now, Dr. Stedman is going to adjust our Zoom schedule and make some of them optional. We may not have them all according to, if you catch on and your work's going good, we'll let you off the hook on some of these. But I'm always available. And when we do, we try to keep them at 40 minutes or less. And so we're right on our time right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give the host back.
And we're going to go ahead and close out. And they've been sending work to me. Just continue to send work as they've been sending, and I can respond back as I need to.
Okay. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and end, stop the share and
Yes.
end. And Dr. Stedman, it will record on your end. You'll be able to post it.
And I'll put it in. I'll put it under week 2.
All right. I'll see you all next time. Everybody have a good week.